All right, welcome everyone. Today is Wednesday, the 20th of September, 2023, and this is the Cluster API project meeting. Cluster API is a sub-project of the Kubernetes SIG cluster lifecycle, and as such, we follow their meeting guidance, which basically means please treat everyone as you would expect to be treated, and explicitly, please be kind to each other. And also, please raise your hand if you'd like to talk, and I will call on you. So at the beginning of our meetings, we like to welcome new attendees or people who haven't had a chance to say hi in the community before to say hi. So if that sounds like something you'd like to do, please raise your hand and I'll call on you. Okay, I'm not seeing any hands go up. So let's move on to our open proposal readout. I think we just have one open proposal, but I'm not sure there's been any updates there. I don't know, Jack or Richard or Fabrizio, is there anything to say about the contract changes for managed Kubernetes?
Thanks, Mike. No changes. It's
Okay.
in Carbonite at the moment.
All right, cool.
Anybody wants to break in a Jabba's palace?
Totally. I love the reference. Thank you. Okay, well, let's move on to our regular agenda then. I've got the first topic, so I will just charge right into it. So last week we had a meetup of the cluster API folks who are interested in Carpenter, and Carpenter is a new autoscaler that has been developed by AWS Labs, and they are currently in the process of negotiating a contribution to SIG autoscaling in the Kubernetes community. So there's a lot of interest in it. We had a great meeting last week. I've got a link to the recording here if anyone would like to review it. I think we decided at the end that there is enough interest for us to continue this research and this investigation, but there's a few details that we kind of need to look into in terms of what we might want to do and how we might want to go forward. So I think we're going to probably set up a meeting cadence that might be like once every 3 weeks or once every 2 weeks at this point. And we'll try to organize when that might be. And I think, Jack, you had a great suggestion before of kind of like doing it right before this meeting or something. And so if that works for folks, maybe we'll just try and propose that. And I'll put together a proposal for the next meeting of this community, and then maybe we can make a decision from there, how we want to go forward. But I think we're kind of at a slow cadence right now, and it'll probably pick up as we make more decisions. So yeah, I don't know, does anybody have questions or comments about that? Okay, I'm not seeing any hands go up. So David, you've got the next topic about CAPI operator, so please take it away.
Yeah, I just was, I know we lightly mentioned this a while back about having kind of an alternate quick start path for using the operator. And I mean, there's quite a bit of differences compared to where the quick start is. And so I just wanted to get a feedback on, before a PR starts kind of getting whipped up, like what that might look like. Off the surface, I was thinking of having, maybe like a linked separate quick start, because as soon as you get to, cluster CTL, then everything kind of changes quite a bit. But I mean, it is possible, obviously, just to try and do other things, but it's already kind of messy as it is. And so I just wanted to get feedback on that.
Yeah, sounds like a great topic to kind of dive into. Does anyone have thoughts on this or want to comment or questions for David? All right, well, I'm not seeing any hands going up, David. So this might be the kind of thing where either maybe we want to open an issue on the CAPI operator repo to kind of maybe have a little more of an asynchronous discussion. I mean, my general feeling is the more quick start docs we can put together, probably the better, right? So if we can clean that up for the CAPI operator, that would be awesome. That said, I'm not an expert with the CAPI operator, so I don't really have a concrete suggestion there. But I think what you're talking about sounds good to me. So maybe an issue would help us to kind of continue the discussion for folks who can't be at the meeting.
Okay. Yeah, I think there was general openness or to having it in the actual cluster API like site. But I think it's more of the specifics, so I can open an issue for that. You think on the operator versus the cluster API repo?
Well, yeah, I might not be remembering that previous discussion. So if we talked about bringing this into the main Cappy repo before, then I would just open the issue on the main Cappy repo. And let's talk about it there. And yeah, and it makes sense to put it in the main book, right? If that's going to be one of our, primary solutions. So yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, cool.
All right. Yeah, so Fabrizio is saying, yeah, if this is about the Cappy book, let's have an issue in Cappy. So, okay. I think that's probably the action item here. I'll make a note in the docs or in the agenda. If there's no other questions or comments about that, I think Fabrizio, you're up next with the KubeCon update.
Yeah, thank you very much. And thanks again for hosting, Mike. I really appreciate it. Quick one. So a follow-up of last week. I have submitted a request for a slot at the Contributor Summit in Chicago. Yeah, I will follow up as soon as I have an answer.
Cool, sounds good. I'm excited to see what sessions we shake out with there. Thanks, Fabrizio. Cecile, you've got the next topic about the SIG cluster lifecycle self-assessment. Should we get into this now? Or?
Yeah, so this is both a PSA, and I guess I was going to offer that we do this together now. So the SIG cluster lifecycle are asking every project in the SIG to fill out this survey by, I believe the deadline is October 15th. And this survey is essentially just meant to gather information. We already did one like this in 2021. And it's meant for us to gather information about the different projects, what's going on, what are the main challenges, where can we help? And ahead of KubeCon, also get some ideas for like discussions and things that we should bring up. So yeah, so first PSA, if you are a maintainer of a project or you're actively contributing to another project besides Cluster API, make sure that you nudge the maintainers to fill out this survey as well. And then in terms of us doing this for Cappy, I think maybe we can do this together and pair through it, since that way we can all, discuss what to answer. It should be very quick. I think it should take 2-3 minutes, if that's okay with everyone.
Sounds okay to me. Does anyone have any objections they'd like to raise? I think our agenda was pretty clear. So yeah, Jack, please.
Thanks. So just to clarify, is the survey, I'm looking at the survey in my browser right now, is the survey meant to be one response per project and not like,
yes, correct.
Me as Jack Francis, I don't want to submit a survey for every project that I work on. So
yes, that's a great question. Thank you.
so someone could have already
project.
submitted for a cluster API. Like how are we know that that's not happening?
I think that's okay. We'll deal with the answers if there's more than one answer. But yes, this is one per project. The goal is to like kind of evaluate project health. So the email did say that the idea is that maintainers would get together either in office hours or somewhere else and fill out the response.
Cool. Can we set up maybe a 15 or 30-minute slot to do this and then welcome contributors to the project? Because it sounds like this is requests from project maintainers to the SIG chairs and SIG tech leads. Is that right?
Not sure I'm following.
I'm just trying to think about how we can sort of formally structure the feedback so the maximum amount of folks who want to contribute to this can do so, if we're going to do it collaboratively in real time as like one group effort,
so
as opposed to
maybe if Mike goes to the next page, it will be more clear. This should be fairly like straightforward. It's just the SIG leads are asking for a few questions about the project, and I think most of them are factual, not opinion based. So it's not about gathering feedback. It's more like, tell us more about the project and what it's doing. So I mean, I'm happy to schedule this for next office hours if you think that gives more time to people to know about this. But I think the idea is that most like office hours are a good form. Usually I don't think we need 15-30 minutes. This is more like a 3-minute kind of thing. Does that make sense?
And not entirely, but that's okay. It might just be my own defective listening skills. It seems like
No, I think
you have.
i-
Yeah,
if
are
you
we
have
going to do this right
concerns, I
now?
want
That
to.
makes sense. Is that what
Yeah,
you're proposing?
that was my point. That's what I was proposing.
Then
we do.
I didn't
Was
catch that. That sounds great. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, perfect. I thought you were saying we shouldn't do it now.
No, sir. I thought you were making an announcement that we should do it sometime, and I was like, okay, cool, we should schedule it. But I misread your initial suggestion that we literally
Okay.
do this now. That sounds fabulous.
All right.
Get
Okay.
this out
I
of the
think
way.
everyone else in the call is like, let's just do this.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Do we
let's
have
get to it.
consensus now? Okay. So the first question that will be the most difficult to ask is which email should I use? I'm guessing we don't want to go into my personal email.
I mean, feel free to put mine if you prefer, or use yours. It doesn't really matter, I think. This is more like who should we reach out to if we have questions about this response?
Okay. All right. Well, I guess like, I feel it's like a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, this form is literally going to go to me and Fabrizio. So I think we're okay. This is also like, let's use this as a reference for others who might fill this out.
What I guess we're probably between 10 and 25. Does that? I don't think we regularly
I would
hit
say more than 25.
You think so?
At
Yeah.
28 right now.
Oh well. All right. Maybe I'm just out of touch with the community then. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. We have had some of these meetings, right? We do release planning. Do we have a retrospective meeting? I don't know about that.
Yes, for the release team.
Do
We
actually
had
have
code.
release- Sorry, you first.
I mean, we have done some ad hoc code walkthroughs. Did we do one in the last 6 months though? I don't remember.
Yeah, we did a lot for the CI.
Okay. Do we have a backlog grooming session as well?
Not that I remember in the last 6 months.
Yeah, I also don't know if we had a release planning, to be honest. I mean, I don't know what that would be, but I don't remember an explicit session about that.
I would say no release planning. We never decide what goes in a release.
So what other ad hoc meetings have we run? I mean, I
We-
just put the one from last week, but what else could we put here?
We had a meeting for the current proposal from Jack, which is
Yeah, you could have
basically
managed Kubernetes.
managed Kubernetes. Yeah, and feature group discussion covers all.
Does anyone remember any other ad hoc meetings that we've had over the last 6 months? The release
Even
teams.
if we don't do release planning, I guess we're still doing like the release team think, right? That counts.
Yeah, I guess it's just
Yes.
not an ad hoc meeting, right? I mean, it's basically like the office hours, like every week. I don't know if you want to have that here or not. It's an answer, but just not super ad hoc. It's just
Yeah.
if
It's
that makes a difference.
planned, but we don't have it here on the,
Yeah, sure.
yeah.
But we also don't have office hours there. But yeah, let's just move on. That's fine.
But I think we are okay.
Okay.
Is this really as Monty Python as I think it is? Are everybody who's reading this the same people who are submitting it?
I sure hope so. All right. Any other anything else we should put here? Stefan is asking what was the KubeCon planning? Maybe Jack, you brought that one up.
Yeah, I know we had some meetings for the Detroit KubeCon. I wonder if we've had some in the last 6 months for the Chicago KubeCon.
I see.
Has anyone had an ad hoc meeting about KubeCon planning in the context of SIG cluster or of cluster API? Okay, maybe we'll drop that one then. If anyone remembers more, just add them to chat and we'll come back here. In the last 6 months, have you reviewed or updated your contributing.md? I want to say yes, but I can't confirm.
We just merged a PR yesterday.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna say like
I wouldn't say that we very regular look at like the, I guess, actual contributing guidance for contributor, but we have so much stuff in that document that we update it very regularly.
Okay. So like we are technically correct here, which is the best kind of correct, right?
Yeah, maybe it would be good if someone has time, maybe just to reread it at some point and just see if regarding the actual contribution parts, we should do some updates. I mean, the last changes we did was usually like go bump policy, cherry pick policy. I mean, it's all interesting, but it's not really that useful to new contributors or that's super important. That's more like how to open a PR and that sort of stuff.
Cool. Sorry, Jack had a funny comment in chat here, and I'm like, it's cracking me up. Okay. And yes, I agree with what you're saying though, Stefan. Like having a review of that kind of regularly is probably a good idea. And maybe that's what this is kind of implying. Okay. In the last 6 months, have you reviewed or updated your project roadmap? I feel like this is kind of a touchy subject around here.
I think that might be yes, because I think we dropped it in the last 6 months. Or when did we actually delete this document? No, I think the answer is basically we don't have one, realistically, right?
No, we don't have one. Not applicable, I guess.
I mean, I guess it's technically no, but
I mean, it comes down to the same thing as the release planning, right? That we essentially don't make like plans for releases, what goes in there. It's more like whoever shows up and contributes stuff and makes it for release, that will make it in there. That's the way it works today.
Okay. As I'm seeing comments from chat, we should do this more often. It's fun. Okay, well, I guess someone will have to come up with more forms for us to do as a group. Then. Okay, is there an onboarding and growth path for contributors to your project? I think this is an emphatic yes. As a project, what programs do you participate in for new contributors?
One.
Have we done GSOC or Outreachy or anything? Okay.
No, not this year.
For multiple companies,
Yes.
that's pretty much a yes. End user.
Yes.
I think so, yeah. Yeah, definitely we've updated the owner's file. What type of changes did we apply? Have we done all of these except the emeritus ones, I guess?
Yes.
Okay. Did we remove anyone? Because usually we just add people, to be honest.
Yeah. No one stepped down. Basically, maybe you removed Jason.
I thought we removed a reviewer, but I can't confirm that.
Yeah,
because we moved into another, we have like removers for sub parts of the projects and then like top level reviewers. So for example, we moved Christian. I don't know if he actually moved.
Sì. On April we moved Jason to emeritus.
Yeah, but that was
there was a removal in June.
Yeah, but
there was a removal in June from the room.
Yeah, but history.
Oh, sorry, that was 2021.
Yeah, this is like also we separated the owner's files too, right? So,
but I think that history is not correct. We definitely updated it. We probably should look at the owner alias file, not at the owner file.
Yeah, this is the owners, which is just the name of the groups. The owner aliases is what has the actual people's name.
Because we updated it. I'm just not sure if we moved someone.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we just added people. We already had March or something.
Okay, so we don't think we've removed approvers, but these other three, yes. And we didn't do any emeritus, did we?
I think we also didn't remove a reviewer.
I don't think we removed in the last 6 months.
Okay. Okay, sorry, I'm just looking at chat here just to make sure I'm not missing something. Okay, yeah, that's what we were just looking at. Okay. All right. As a project team, do you need help in any area now? I mean, I feel like this is a yes, but
yes, very strong yes from my side that we need more reviewers. We're going up towards like 60, 70 open PRs, and the people who are regularly reviewing it just basically overloaded all the time. to be realistic.
Okay.
Let's
I would
write
add
it.
reviews or something, or more reviewers or something like that. So I think we should actually put the area in there, not just a yes.
Oh, really? Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, it just seems like a yes or no question.
Yeah, you're right, but I think it might still be more helpful.
Okay.
This is why I wanted us to do this together, because now we can go and edit the survey to make it better. I think there's a few comments too in the chat about questions that could be improved.
Is there another area? Like, does that capture what you were thinking, Stefan? And is there another area we should add here, I guess?
That's fine from my side. It's not only issues, it's also PRs, but I think that's just a nit that doesn't really matter.
All right. So as a project team, what are we doing to increase our contributor base? I mean, I feel like we reach out a lot, and we've created lots of materials to help people.
Yeah.
I think the release team is.
We keep improving our contributor documentations.
I would imagine that stuff like KubeCon talks also have like a positive effect. I mean, we do this like deep dive introduction thingy every KubeCon, if I remember correctly.
Jack, I see you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I think, Mike, this speaks really directly to you. I think your efforts and other folks' efforts with Autoscaler and Carpenter are nice integration points. So they bring in community members from other projects, and there's like an integration. And so now that's a nice way of importing a lot of expert contributions.
I guess, how do you want to say that?
I would say integration with other projects, if you want to look for some wording. Yeah.
In chat, there is also, we apply good first issue label. We keep applying this label when possible. And yeah, and KubeCon talks. Good. Next.
All right.
I think there was also one mention of the release team maybe in that context, but I'm not sure.
Sorry, what was that I missed there? Release team?
Yeah, I think it was related to this question, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think release team shadows is a good way for new contributors to get involved.
How did I misspell this? How does that sound to people? All right. Anything else to add to that one? Okay. What are the initiatives that should be highlighted, lauded, that your project is proud of?
I think that we have for sure the machine pool machine effort. All people are investing a lot of energy. And I will also praise the work on improving release tooling.
What was the other one, Fabrizio?
Continuous improving release tooling.
Stefan, I see you've got your hand up.
Yeah, similar to the first one, I would add the integration work of cluster class and machine pool. It's basically a huge effort, and there are now a lot of people helping with getting the test coverage up.
So that's like part of the
I would say, no, it's a different one. I would say a machine pool support for cluster class. Is the title. Or in class, yeah, that's better.
Is that good? Okay.
Oh, the scalability working in 1.5 was a super good one. Performance improvements.
Would you say the 1.5 release?
Exactly. Thank you.
Anything else we should add there? Okay. As a project team, how many releases did we have in the last 6 months?
If we count the minors, we are over than 10. So
more than 10?
Sorry, the patch, we are more than 10.
Okay.
Yeah, you have 2 patch releases per month essentially, and then 1 minor every 4 months.
So should we keep this at 10 or?
It's fine. We have like 13 on average, I guess.
Okay.
13 and a half. So.
What's now stable, beta, or alpha?
We did not graduate or change stuff. But yeah, we are discussing to graduate experiments.
Do these forms go out? Is this like something that's done every release cycle, or do we do this once a year or something? Like what should nothing is graduated or changed in the last release cycle or last 6 months or something?
In the last 6 months,
okay.
I would say.
What are some of the longer tail efforts that your project is working on? This is your chance to share what you're struggling with.
Yeah, I think that maybe observability and tracing could use some help. Stefan, what do you think?
What was the second thing you said there for observability and what?
Tracing.
I would probably, I mean, right now, I think in the sense of like help wanted, and you can, and you already have everything in place that you can just contribute more stuff, is probably mostly logging. So I think metrics is pretty much fine. Logging, we have like an umbrella issue of like long tail stuff, like, hey, we should improve every controller. I think tracing is like a bit of like, basically we need like one first PR to establish the pattern. And then we have a long tail of doing it everywhere. Which is basically on me. I don't know if anyone else wants to pick it up, but that one first PR is pretty much top of my list right now.
And you were saying, sorry, go ahead.
I will remove pricing because yeah, we are not doing it.
Sounds like an interesting one. Now I'm getting curious.
On observability though, Stefan, you were saying like logging is the big.
Yeah, I would say logging.
Okay.
That's the main thing.
Anything else we should add there?
I think we're actually pretty fine, to be honest. We don't have like, in my opinion, no like big efforts. We're just struggling to make progress. It's just like we have 1 million issues and 1 million PRs.
Yeah.
But it's not like one big thing that we try to do for a year or 2.
Right. Okay. Yeah, here's a good one. Do we consider our CI signal adequate to the project maturity? I would say yes, but I'm not as close to it as other people.
I would say, yeah, and we keep improving it. So,
yeah. And in both dimensions, I would say, regarding coverage and also regarding stability.
And how do we feel about the documentation in this respect?
Oh, sorry. Can you come back to long tail effort?
Yeah.
So Fabrizio started like half a year ago or something, like this idea of like actually having like a nice book, like other projects do.
You're saying like improvements to the
yeah, basically like an entire like refactoring. Let's start from scratch and build something like I don't know, like Kubernetes has like this entire like website thingy going on, right? And ours is just, we have a heap of documentation and just add more and more and more, but the structure is getting more and more messier.
But yeah, going back to the last question, apart of the structure, I think that the documentation is good. Most of the time that I have an issue, I point people to the book.
Yeah. Same
from
for
the
me.
Slack channel. So yeah, it could always be improved, but what we have is already.
Yeah, I tend to.
Makes me.
Is there any objections to this? All right.
Fine from my side. My biggest problem is the structure.
All right, we're getting down to the last page, folks, and someone needs to record our time here so we can try to beat it next time we do this.
Yeah.
So as a project,
one is.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead, Fabrizio.
Yes, we participate.
Oh yeah, okay.
Usually, or me or Cecile are there.
Right. Which SIG projects do you interact with?
Test infra for sure. Country backs on time.
Image builder.
Just a comment about a question. I think this question is technically about sub-projects of SIG cluster lifecycle, right? Not about sub-projects.
Okay.
Just regarding
sorry.
test infra and contrabacks. I mean, maybe it's better if it would be like sub-projects.
No, sorry, I misread the question. I just read which SIG and then I started. So remove test infra and contrabacks. We have image builder, but also basically app star project, app provider project.
What's it called?
Cluster API provider projects.
Cluster API. Cluster API operator. And the cluster API add-on.
And what was the other one?
Cluster API add-on project.
Christian brought up KubeADM.
Is it worth it?
Yes.
Should we mention cluster autoscaler as well, perhaps?
It's not a SIG project, however. It's not under the SIG cluster lifecycle.
Oh, this is just SIG cluster lifecycle. Okay, gotcha. Take a look at the list quickly. Oh wait, oh no, that. Please tell me that didn't mess it. No.
No, I should be
It
there.
says your progress has been restored.
Okay.
Is that
That's how it
line?
works.
That's
It's not a good sign if you have to re-enter your email.
Yeah, I almost messed up our run here.
Oof.
Yeah, totally.
All right.
Okay, let me try that again once more and open it to a new tab. Okay. Well, I guess we probably don't need to list these out individually, I'm guessing.
Yeah, no, that's fine. The cluster API provider should be fine.
Okay, yeah, it looks like we got them all there. Have you got some suggestions for improving cooperation and coordination at the SIG level?
I think that for CAPI we are pretty good because this meeting act as a point where everyone rallies if they need to collaborate with CAPI. It will be nice if there is more participation at the SIG meeting level.
Cluster lifecycle SIG meeting?
Yes.
And when you say more participation, are you saying participation from the cluster API project there or just in general?
In general, from the providers, but also from the community.
Does that capture it?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Any other suggestions that we would like to share with at the SIG level about cooperation and coordination? Okay, I'm not seeing any hands or anything. So I guess I will submit this. Maybe send me a copy just in case. All right, I'm going to submit it unless there's objections. In 3, 2, 1. Okay.
Thank you, Mike.
Yay. Thanks
Thank
to
you,
all
Mike.
of you
Thanks
as
for
well.
your patience.
No, that was fun. Come on, what are you talking about?
Sorry, that totally didn't take 5 minutes, but I think it was very important that we did this together. So thank you.
Agreed, Cecile. I think I think we hit like 15 to 20 minutes. So next time, let's see if we can hit 15 minutes, which we, I'm just kidding. Okay. So thank you, Cecile, for bringing that up. I feel better that we've gotten that done now. I see David is adding a topic as we talk here.
Yeah, I saw the links. I saw the links to what you had, and those are more specific features. And so I see that we've been in V1 beta 1, listing it as in brackets stable for a while. And I'm just kind of curious, because I actually did have a comment from someone who was looking at Cluster API, and they just mentioned, oh, well, Cluster API is V1 beta 1. And then I have to like explain, well, no, that's stable and all that. And that's okay. But it's just, it is an interesting question of like, we've been at V1 beta 1 for what, a year and a half, or I don't know, like since many releases. And so I'm just kind of curious, like if, I don't know, reasoning, rationing around that. I think that's a little separate than the actual features out of experimental threads that you had there. Go ahead,
Fabrizio, please.
So I think the answer is nuanced in the sense that a project like Kubernetes, but also Cluster API, I think that people should understand that the project, different part of the project will have different part of maturity. This is why we declared the code base is V1, but the API is still alpha, and this is why we have experiment and feature gates. So let me say, well, when people ask, we simply have to explain, hey, Cluster API is so big that different parts are different, have different levels of maturity, and the situation is continuously evolving. This is part of the answer. The second part of the answer is why don't we move to, we keep upgrading our API version. So we have I think that the answer is kind of complex also here. So if I look at the backlog, we have a slash of good idea of things that could improve our API. So we are reaching a critical mass of requests that, in my opinion, makes sense to think to the next API version. This is my personal opinion. And among them, there are a couple which are really interesting. For instance, we can improve our API to make it more GitOps friendly. I think to how we handle owner refs for machine deployment, or how we handle reference to the objects. There was a recent long thread about this. So these are, for instance, alone a topic that makes a valid justification for working to the next API version. The other side of the coin is that cutting a API version in copy has a ripple effect. Not only require a lot of work in copy, but it also has a ripple effect on all the providers. So ultimately, it requires works and let me say a wider consensus in the community. And currently, no one is pushing for this to happen. So is an open source project. When someone commits to make things happen, they happen. Otherwise, we stick to V1 beta 1.
Stefan?
Yep.
Yeah, go
I
ahead,
think
Stefan.
one challenge that we will have is basically figuring out what we would want to do in a probable V1 beta 2. I think we shouldn't go to V1 we shouldn't go from V1 beta 1 to V1. We just have too much stuff that we want to change. So, but okay, different discussion. So I think what we have to figure out essentially what are you going to do? I think we have at least like 30, 40, 50 issues around like API changes. And then it's also a question of timing. So I think, for example, right now, the next 1 or 2 months will be probably like a good period to think about what we want to do so that we can then target it for example, 1.7, assuming we have the bandwidth and all that sort of stuff. And what would be probably a bad time is like, let's say 2 months before a minor release, because in that time frame, you're not getting enough done to justify a beta 2, I think. So I think we shouldn't, if we do it, we should do it like early in the release cycle or even like start planning in the previous release cycle so that we don't have to just rush in like 3 or 4 changes in 1 or 2 months and everything else just has to wait for V1 beta 3. That sort of stuff. Yeah.
Thank you, Stefan Fabrizio. One other, I think, other than just the user bringing it up, this actually kind of got raised on the CapZ side because we had a end-to-end test trying to upgrade from 1.0. And so, you know, I think that's the other factor of, you know, our support of upgrade versions based on the API version. So, but yeah, that's kind of a tangent related thing.
Yeah, I just one last comment from my side. First of all, thank you for the question. I think that this is a discussion that we need to add. And by the way, this is one of the topics that I proposed for the KubeCon meeting. Yeah, I think that we really need to keep going. If someone wants, I will link also the thread that we had on the API version issue. This is a nasty problem that our API has historically and is getting more and more relevant for users because the adoption of GitHub tools, of server-side apply is growing, etc., etc. So, and yeah, another interesting point, there is a new kubeadmin version coming up with new feature that could be interesting for Capi. So I think that we need to have this discussion sooner. The sooner the better.
Yeah, I think part of it is perception too, right? Just like, you know, we have stable next to V1 beta 1 and and those two things kind of feel mentally different than what you know is listed in the Kubernetes definition of feature gates, right? Stable is stable, beta is beta, you know. But yeah, I understand. Thank you for the reasoning.
Okay. And I echo what Fabrizio was saying. Good topic, good discussion. Yeah, please, Stefan, go ahead.
Yeah, so just quick follow-up comment. I think realistically, we're not at that point we are that we are like V1 stable, to be honest. There's just too much stuff still going on. So yeah, for whatever definition of stable we have, I think we don't have that like V1, we keep it like the same for 2 or 3 years level of stableness. Stability, sorry.
Yeah, I think it's good to, I think it'd be good to just, you know, because it sounds like a lot of you have ideas in your head what V1 would look like. And even if it is 30 issues or whatever, like, and it takes us a period of time to get there, but I think it'd be good to just kind of, you know, have your head around what that could be. And that might enable people to decide to want to contribute to some of that over time versus it being an infinite thing. So yeah, go ahead, Fabrizio.
I think that, let me say, definition of stableness is always difficult. In cluster API, I think that we are stable in the sense that we have concept like, I don't know, the contract, which are well defined, and we keep and they will not change in the short term. We have primitives like machine deployment, and so on and so forth, which are stable, etc., etc. So from this point of view, I think, and considering the fact that we provide always provide upgrade paths from one version to the other, we are stable, and people are using it in production. We don't have, so from we don't have a report out of big issue, etc., etc. So the majority of the project, considering that in the SIG we have 80 companies that are building product or using cluster API, this is a lot, and we see continuous grow in terms of number of provider, etc., etc. So from this point, we are stable. Then I agree, the project is continually evolving. So the API is V1 beta 1, it is because we know that API will continue to evolve. But at the same time, we will make sure that we provide guarantees. So yeah, it really depends by the nuances, but I think that definitely cluster API qualified for being called stable as a project. We are even providing upgrade path for the alpha feature that we ship, which is much more that Kubernetes itself is doing.
So I'll just read this out from the chat. One thing Stefan is commenting about is that, the problem with V1 in Kubernetes, it implies these long guarantees. And I guess that's something else to kind of think about here. I'm really inspired to hear this kind of discussion because I think it's cool. Like by the time we actually do get to V1, it's like, we're going to be so stable and have such a great history of kind of integration and continuous integration and processes and whatnot. So yeah, we might be able to be the stablest V1 when we actually get there. But it's really cool just to hear the thoughtful conversation around this. Does anyone else have questions or comments? I see. I'll just read a comment from Joel here in the chat. I think it would be great to do a thorough API conventions review as we go through the next version as well. Yeah, I agree. Like, I think that does sound good. Okay. If there's no further comment on that topic, then we will move into the provider updates. Fabrizio, did you just still have your hand up from before? Did you have another comment to add? Okay. John H., please take it away.
Yeah, so CAPZ 1.11.0 was just released yesterday, and that's our first release. That includes CAPI 1.5. And we're also bundling Azure Service Operator for the first time and using that as a dependency. And we've gotten rid of all of our old deprecated SDK references. Now we're all in the new Azure SDKs. So yeah, that's it for the V1.11 release. And we also have a new patch release out for V1.10.
All right, great to hear. Thanks for the updates. All right, that brings us to the end of our agenda. Are there any other kind of ad hoc topics that people would like to discuss now, or anything we should say before we go here? In 3, 2, 1. All right. Thanks everybody for showing up, and we'll see you all around next week.